Nice to see you. Nice. Welcome to Livestream. So if this is the first time to live stream, I'll just tell you the process of what happens and how it works. I do these talks every Sunday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. French time. You access it by either subscribing to my YouTube channel and then turning on your notifications, and then you'll get the notification sent through to your email. Or you just arrive at my YouTube channel at 6 p.m. French time, or on my website under Livestream at 6 p.m. French time, and then it will be there. You'll be able to access it. I don't always do them every week, so it's always wise to check my live stream schedule. So if you go onto my website, you'll see a section saying live stream, and then that will update you about the times that I'm not available to do the live stream. If you want to speak to me in this session, then the way you do that is through Skype. My Skype address is in the box below. It's Lisa Cairns 12, and you can send me a message during the live stream, and hopefully I'll be able to reply if there's not too many messages. Or you can either call in, but if you call in, make sure you have a headset with a microphone, so it doesn't echo or vibrate or make distorted sounds. And also make sure you've got high quality or good quality internet if you want to call in. Nice. I always like to sit for 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of each session in silence. And then I start talking after that. Oh yeah, and there's another channel that you can subscribe to. So if you don't like all the silences and the breaks and the divergences that I go on to, and you just want to watch something that's short and answers a particular question about a particular thing, then there's somebody that edits these talks and uploads video clips of it, so short video clips with titles about what I'm talking about. And that's called Video Clips Lisa Cairns, and you can subscribe to that, and each talk is edited if that's what you would prefer. So it does like 5, 10, 20-minute videos. It's really beautiful that they do that. But it's not my channel, and it has nothing to do with me. It's somebody that comes to my retreats and talks. And they also have a Facebook page as well where they upload videos. You can go and check that out. I think that's in the, not the Facebook page, but the video clips is in the link below, in the box below. Or it's also on my channel. It's like associate channel. It's called Video Clips Lisa Cairns. Nice. Okay, we're ready. Let's see what the title of the talk is. What is being in love? So I think one of the most profound experience being human is this phenomena of being in love, which is really beautiful. So it's this totally consuming and melting feeling that you have with someone, where you totally give yourself to them, and it's incredibly vulnerable. It's this surrender to the other person. And when I work with people and when I speak with people, I notice that some people don't know what it is to be in love, to have really fully given themselves to another person. I didn't used to know what being in love was. I sort of did, but also I'd never really experienced it with humans, but I'd experienced it by myself through meditation, but never experienced it through humans. But then as I got older, I did. So to me, what falling in love with is this total surrender in this moment to that person. So in the way, when you're giving yourself to the other person, when you're with them, you give yourself away. You're no longer being a separate entity. You're no longer being somebody that's falling in love. You give yourself away, and all there is this moment. All there is them and you, and them and you disappear. There's this intimacy that happens. And it's completely vulnerable. You feel so utterly vulnerable. And it also has an effect on your chakra system. So when you totally surrender to someone in that moment where you totally merge, and there's just this absolute vibrant intimacy, there is no longer two people, there is this intimacy with what is, and that is love. Then on the chakra system, it has this effect of feeling very in line with your sacral and root and solar plexus and heart and throat. And third eye and crown chakra. So you feel very grounded in that, and it comes from the root and the sacral chakra being really imbalanced. So being really grounded in them. So really feeling like you can trust life, that you can trust what's happening, and really feeling rooted and grounded here. And this sexuality, this creativity, which is in the sacral chakra, and just this open love that happens. And then obviously it makes you want to make love with the person. So it brings about sexuality. So you want to make love with them. And some people don't really know what making love is. They know what sex is, but making love isn't about orgasming or getting there. It's like getting to an experience. It's this intimacy with sensation and feeling that creative force that everybody has. So the sacral chakra is really interesting when it's activated and really alive, because the sacral chakra, you could say, reflects non-duality. So this life is made up of nothing, no thing that can be found in this world. So the source of this universe is not a thing found in this world. And then from that no place springs everything. So you could say that everything is the feminine and the no thing is the masculine. So out of that masculine, supporting and holding this universe, springs life, the feminine, and the life dances in that masculine energy. And the sacral chakra reflects that, because it has this holding energy, this emptiness, they call it the hara in Chinese medicine, I think, and Chinese Buddhism. And it's this holding energy, this big, spacious holding energy. And then in that comes this creativity and this sexuality. And it makes life. So the feminine, it makes life, it creates life. And so it's really beautiful, that sacral chakra. And when you're both in touch with that and you come together in lovemaking, it's really orgasmic, and it's not about getting to something. It's about the sensations that are happening right here. It's about really merging with the other person, and completely forgetting who you are and the other person is. And that's actually the highest form of sexuality and what everyone wants. There's nothing wrong with the other forms of sexuality. They happen and they can be enjoyed. But this merging is what everybody wants in sexuality. It's not hardcore sexuality. It's not having lots of women or having a beautiful woman or a handsome man. It's actually merging with the other one. And in Tantra practices, they teach you how to come back to that sensitivity and see, so we're just so distracted in the West, see that it's not about physicality. So a lot of men, particularly in the West, are sexually turned on by images, and that's okay, that's not wrong, but they're turned on by images more than they are by sensation. So the way that a woman looks is more important to them than the way that they feel, and it should be the other way around. So it's all about sensitivity and feeling. And when you drop out of what you've been taught is sexy, so say the slim, young body, you can start experiencing something else, which isn't just attracted to the young, slim body. It can really appreciate all forms and all diversities. And this is what Tantra is about. Tantra is also about other things, but it's not actually about orgasm or sex, but it's coming back to the simplicity of the sensation, and in that you disappear. And then you start being sexually aroused by something else, so you can be with someone who you didn't think was your physical type, but that intimacy in the moment can arouse you. And it's a different form of arousal. It doesn't require orgasming, it doesn't require getting anywhere, it doesn't require a particular experience. It's simply about the touch and the dissolving. So in some Tantra practices, they try to get you to see that when you're at that sacral chakra is activated and you feel that sexuality and that love and that intimacy, then you put your attention onto lots of different sexual partners to see that in actuality there's no difference. doesn't mean that when you pick a sexual partner that you don't pick someone you're attracted to, but that is actually more to do with smell than it is to do with looks. But it's seeing that fundamentally what you're looking for is that connection with the sacral chakra and with beingness, with life. And that's where the love is, that's where the merging is, that's where the intimacy is, and that's what you want. That's all you ever want. That's why it's so easy to fall in love with someone on the screen or someone that you don't know. Because in that, you can dissolve into yourself, you can dissolve into the sacral chakra, you can dissolve into vulnerability, because it really takes vulnerability to dissolve into beingness, to dissolve into your feeling when you're in front of another person. But say when you're watching someone speak or you're watching someone in a film, you can dissolve into that intimacy, so you can imagine or you can feel in love with them, and you can dissolve into it because it feels safe to do so. And also it doesn't have the mundane in it. Part of the reason why a lot of people struggle to do with this is they got caught up in the mental activity of the mundane. So they start talking about the problems they had last week or the problems they're going to have next week or this or that, and they get lost in that area. Whereas in film or on TV or with someone you don't know, you can easily or more easily relax into this moment because you've not got all these added stories of what that person did to you, or they're an asshole, or what they didn't do, or this or that, or your history, or your formalities, or the way that you feel like you've got to act together, like all your boundaries and barriers and resentments. But the same thing will happen when you meet the person that's on the TV, is when you begin to start spending time with them, you'll get into your habits of being someone which divide you from the other person, and then you won't be able to do Tantra with them, you won't be able to totally fall in love with them, because you'll be trying to be someone and you'll be trying to force the other person to be someone, rather than being so totally vulnerable and right here, right now, like totally open, no rules, no boundaries, just what's happening. And as you learn, so if you've been married 20 years, as you learn non-duality, and as you begin to like drop into the body and drop into the sacral chakra and drop into feelings, because that is part of the process, the apparent process of non-duality is dropping into the body. And when you drop into the body, you see there is no body. You can't get non-duality just from being in your mind and imagining and understanding non-duality. It's like there's a dropping into the body, and then that boundary between the body and the world disappears. But you can't do that from just being up in your head, like up here. So as you begin to drop into your body, and you've been married 20 years, and when you're in the body, you're in this moment in a way. You're not trying to be this intellectual idea of yourself. You're not trying to live up to all these games and patterns. And you become present to them, and you become present to this moment. You'll begin to see them for fresh again, through new eyes. You'll not see them as someone that you did this with or did that with, or someone that you have to act in a certain way, or do this type of thing or that type of thing, or you're afraid of this or you're afraid of that. You're just seeing them for what they are right now, which is innocence, which is nothing. And in that there's this vibrant sensation, this fire, this aliveness, this presence. And then it's not about them and you meeting through your stories of 20 years together and all your blockages. You're seeing something else. You're seeing them beyond form. That's so beautiful. So you could say being in love is being your true self. You can't be in love while you are somebody in relationship to the other. Just being yourself as this moment. So to really know your partner is to know yourself. So everything that you see about your partner or you think about your partner isn't who they are. So you might be married like 30 years and everything you think about them isn't them. That's an image you hold of them. That's a perspective you hold of them. Who they truly are is this moment. That's who everybody is. Right now. And when you see that, that's when you'll really love them. Often what happens when you come with another person, so after you get to know another person, you begin to seek from the other person. So you begin to seek love or validation or intimacy, and that seeking separates you from them. That seeking creates this you that's in relationship to somebody that will give you something. Rather than seeing them for what they are, not seeing them as a source to your food, as a source to your aliveness, as a source to your freedom, but seeing them for what they are right now, just here. So a lot of time people regret getting into relationships, so they feel like if they had been in a different relationship, their life would have been better. Whereas actually most of the time, it's not the partner that's the problem. It's not the relationship the problem. It's that you don't know yourself. You're not fully being yourself, and that's keeping the distance. And what the other person is doing or not doing isn't relevant. What's relevant is you being yourself and you connecting with yourself, and then that vibration will affect your partner. Okay, we open up to questions now. So if you have a question, just to remind you again, the way you do that is through Skype. My Skype address is Cairns12. So if you have any questions, you can ask through there. If you want to call in, then you can call in. Make sure you have your headset. Hey Thomas. Hi Lisa. Hi Nick. Hi Lisa. Such a beautiful introduction. Thank you. Just a reminder to mention thumbs up for the video. Oh yes. I do forget that. Remember to put your thumbs up if you like the video. Dear Lisa, this is from Marcus. A few live streams ago, you talked about people that try to get this love from you and how exhausting this energy is. I can relate to this very much. I can see that I have this energy, and seeing this already makes a big difference. Sometimes I feel this love here and now and without any reason, yet I still feel very uncomfortable interacting with others, knowing that I can have this exhausting energy. Any advice? You mean that you can have exhausting energy trying to get love from other people? Like in the end, it all comes down to your vibration and your energy. So it's not, other people are relevant to an extent. So with me, when I do talks and in my past, like 10 years of speaking, the reason that I believe that this happens to me, that I've had people coming with this energy, is because of my vibration and not having enough boundaries, and it's been very exhausting when I let it in. So in a way, like I didn't need to do these online talks, and I didn't need to do these retreats and these talks. It was something that got activated in my energy, and then I was in this situation where I had people really trying to take a lot of energy from me, and in the end of the day, my energy could have moved into something else where this didn't happen so much, but it was something that I had to learn to put up better boundaries and to say no to people, and to understand when somebody feels this presence, like what effect that has on people. So when you're talking about presence and reminding people, it has such a huge effect that their mind very quickly puts it onto you and then tries to get hold of you. So if you think about Muji, who's like, or not necessarily Muji, but any teacher, any guru that's in a really big ashram environment where people are constantly trying to get love from them, or a famous person, in the end, it's their energy which is making them be famous or making them do that. So it's their energy that's putting them above the crowd. Not that it's a bad thing putting yourself above the crowd, but it's karma. Everybody's got karma that they're acting out endlessly. And what your vibration is vibrating. Like what it's pulling towards it and pushing away from it. You know, at the end of the day, myself or a really famous person or really big guru, you could go and live in the middle of nature and not have any attention from anyone. But your vibration isn't interested in that. And my vibration was in sharing this, and in sharing this I had to learn so many lessons about when you talk about this, you put people into that very vulnerable place of love, and then their mind goes, it's you. So just coming back to everything is your vibration, what your vibration's calling in and out. There's nobody that's victim here to anything. It's all life playing out. My advice to you, if you've got very needy energy that needs a lot of attention for people, is trying to sit with that. So when it's acting out, so when you're staying with someone or in close vicinity, but when you're in a very close vicinity, giving space to that and sitting, being conscious of it, like where it comes from, rather than just reacting and trying to get love from them. Let's see, what chakra does that come from? What is my body saying right now? Like, what's my heart saying? I need love, or I'm going to be abandoned. I need love, otherwise I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be afraid. I'm going to be ill. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be left out. Like, what does your body say? And just get to know the unconscious of the body, what it's speaking, like what your energy is speaking. Because even though you think that the person, your image of yourself and the voice in your head is controlling your life, it's not. That's an effect of the energy in your body, of the karmas in your body, and what your chakras are saying and wanting and not wanting, and how your body is seeking. The mind thinks, oh, I'm in control of this. I can sit here quietly, or I can say this or do that. But everything that comes up in your mind is a result of your unconscious. I think I was reading that like there's only 5% of what we're conscious of, or maybe even less than that. Thank you for your question. Hi, Ian. I'm going to put this on auto speak because it's a long question.
Dear Lisa, I went to a Zen monastery when I was 17. I'm now 43. Much of the time in between I have struggled, bouncing between the monastery and the pub. Nearly 4 years ago I ended up in hospital from drug and alcohol withdrawal. Since then I've been sober and exploring other options related to the self, such as counseling and AA. However, non-duality keeps on reappearing. I think I'm done with Zen and the monastery, lovely as it was. When I was at school, my art teacher was a converted Vita teacher during classes. So, I've actually been interested in this since I was around 12 or 13 years old, and it is firmly ingrained in my bones. I'm crap at being spiritual. I don't like that I am a slow learner. I feel optimistic, but if certain conditions are not met, I may miss my chance. I can't do it on my own, it seems, but I struggle with trust. Note on booking a session not relevant to the question. I'm considering booking a session, but you are booked up for 2 months. I am a support worker. I get a rota every 4 weeks with shifts at different times. This makes it difficult to book a session because I don't know when I will be at work. Any chance I could book one for tomorrow? I'm off work because of illness, but still eager. I feel like I am at an important point. Wishing you well. Ian.
Hey, Ian. Thank you for your question. I would love to do a session with you tomorrow, but the way that I work is I can't do any more than 9 sessions a week. I cannot. It makes me ill, like physically ill. Like one day I did 5 sessions in one day. I do 3 at max in one day, but one day so happened I did 5, and the next day I woke up with flu-like symptoms, and for about 6 or 7 hours when I woke up I could barely move. I thought, like this was the first time I realized how intensive it was, and I thought, this can't be true, this can't have such a strong effect. So I tried it a few more times, and every time I did it, it had the same effect. I seem to be an energetic teacher, so when I teach, I really give everything, like all my energy and everything, to the person that I'm speaking to. And I presume it's like a healer energy, but I can't give more than a certain amount. So a lot of people ask me if I can do these extra sessions, and I just can't. But what I have done, because I've realized that sometimes people need like emergency sessions, is I'm booking less sessions each week, and then I have like a couple of emergency spots every week. But that, I haven't started doing that till October. So if you write back to me in October, maybe I have some space then. Yeah, so thank you for asking about the session. I would really love to do that for you, but it just can't. I really can't. Back to the question. So what was your question? Oh, you were just talking about your past. Yeah. That's beautiful that you've spent so much time in a Zen monastery. But because there is that addiction there, I'm sure that you need to work on your psychology to an extent. And maybe in a Zen monastery, they don't work on the psychology so much. They're more about being present. So there's two different ways which it seems that the person can practice. It's not practice to get into enlightenment, but practice to settle down the sense of self. And then ultimately there is no practice, because everything I say to you is a description of what you can do. It's not a prescription, because there isn't actually somebody inside your body, Ian, that has free will to do what I'm speaking about. But it seems as if there is. So I give up the information, it's even taken on board or it isn't. So there seems to be two different things that happen. So when I was a practicing Buddhist, what I was taught to do was put my attention into the present moment. It's the same as what staying in the I am or staying in consciousness is. You keep bringing your personal awareness back to the big consciousness or to this moment. So with non-duality, they talk about this consciousness being behind and looking out at everything, or that I am, the sense of being, and they say bring your attention back to that. Keep bringing it back. It's like a practice, a training. And that's one way. But if, like me, you have too many psychological issues because there were problems in childhood, so you didn't have like a very stable childhood, or there were difficulties in childhood. So if you've had that, then more than likely you have to actually look at your psychology a bit, because otherwise your unconscious is going to keep steering you in the direction of repeating what happened in your childhood. So when I was going to these ashrams, it all worked out well for me, and all these teachers, I was actually repeating looking for a father figure. Like I kept repeating looking for a father figure, and it actually worked out really well, because in that I learnt loads and had lots of awakenings. So there was this honesty and this depth there that was like committed to truth. But what was happening is that unconsciously my body was looking for a father, and it was also looking for other things. It was also looking for apologies from my parents, or recognition from my parents and from my family, like recognition about some events that happened. So what I was doing is I was meeting the father, the teacher, and then I was making the teacher a sinner, and then trying to get the teacher to apologize to me for particular sins. So that was a game that I would play out. And there's many things that you can find wrong with everybody. So if you go to, so say my first organization was this Buddhist organization, and they had this very strict rule that females weren't allowed in male areas, not all male areas, but certain male areas. And I found that very difficult emotionally to cope with, because my boyfriend lived in those areas, and I felt like it was unfair that he could come into all my space and I wasn't allowed into his space. And that this was their rule, and it was something I felt like it crossed my boundary. So it was like this Buddhist group was my father figure, was like teaching me how to live my life and how to do all these things and be. And it was like looking after and nurturing and comforting. And then I would fight against it and I would look for them to acknowledge what my wound was, acknowledge what the problem was, and then I would get on with it, and then I would fight against it. And that's what I did with all the teachers. That's just one example. And if you're keep putting your attention into this moment, like, so you're putting your attention in this moment, and then say the main teacher comes along, you're still going to have this unconscious seeking that's happening. So you won't necessarily register it, even though you can register your body is in discomfort and you can register this moment, you won't necessarily register what's going on and what the seeking is and why you're doing that. And it seems that the witnessing of it, so the understanding of your dynamics and understanding what you're trying to do, is in some way the resolution or the end of it, or the lessening of it. So understand that often what I was doing in those situations was I was looking for recognition, looking for appreciation, looking for apologies, and it's seeing that play out, like acknowledging that. And that's something that can go on for years. Like, I'm still learning my unconscious of this body, of this makeup. So I'm still learning it. It still has unconscious playing out, and I don't think bodies ever get over that. I think they always have unconscious happening, and they always have patterns happening. But when they're really strong, then you have a really strong seeking energy and a really strong sense of self, this person that wants things in order to be happy. But as you begin to get to know yourself more, that seeking energy lessens, and then there can be this shift where you realize that who you are is home, who you are is presence. And then it's not like you have this energy anymore that's looking for freedom in getting the father figure, in getting the apology, because the freedom is right here. But there has to be almost like these two different ways of working. This one way of realizing who you are, or putting your attention back into the I am, or putting your attention back into this moment. And then the other way of getting to know what the identity is seeking for, like why the seeking is happening, why the imbalance is happening. And it's not that you have to know everything. Like, you could go at examining the unconscious forever. You could get lost in that. That could become a trap. But you have to know it to a certain extent. So it's not like really unconsciously acting out very strong patterns. So if we take somebody that's new to this subject, like they come in and they're new to this subject, and say they come to one of my retreats, and maybe what they aren't aware that they're seeking for when they're at the retreat. So rather than relaxing into retreat and enjoying what I'm saying and just really absorbed into eating lunch and doing the retreat, maybe they have this idea that they need acknowledgement from me, that they need validation, that they need praise, or that they need private time from me. So maybe that's an unconscious thing that's happening. And then maybe they play out another unconscious thing, that I'm like their mother, and they want to get into the dynamic of the mother. So maybe they had a narcissistic mother. So then they start believing that I'm doing all these narcissistic things to them, and they begin to get into that dynamic, but they have no consciousness of it. So what they're doing the whole time is creating war inside their head, and war externally as well. They might be verbally beginning to be aggressive or obnoxious. And the problem is, when that's all playing out, is when you talk about the beauty of this moment, because there's all these emotions kicking off in their system, they can't hear that. They're talking about how beautiful this is, or that this is all there is, or that this isn't a divided reality, is absolutely irrelevant to somebody that's acting out on that level. So I'm not saying that maybe their whole life, even if they become enlightened or they become free, they don't have an aversion, particular type of women, like because they had like a bad experience with their mother. But so their dynamic might be not to interact with certain types of people. So I'm not saying it totally goes away, or your conditioning, but it gets to a point where it's just seen for what it is. It's not seen that if you get the mother to behave in a certain way, if you get that person to behave in a certain way, that you'll be free. That cannot make you free. That will never make you free. So pointing that out means that the energy can begin to let go on that. Like once you see it, so once you see that you're ramming your head in the wall, once you see that you're treating your friends like your mother, or you're treating the teacher like the mother, the energy dies in that to an extent. And it becomes less, and it becomes more an impulse in the body that's not acted out. So it becomes fed less, it's less strong, it relaxes more into itself. And then that's the cutting of the seeking, and then the cutting of the illusion. Because when it's really unconscious, you've got a you here that's really offended by that person over there. How dare they do this? And then as you begin to point backwards and say, well, what is it that you feel and think? Then this person begins to settle down. And then it maybe can begin to hear the beauty of this moment. How beautiful and wonderful this is, this moment. This is it. This is it. But if you're like in fight mode and in years and years of unconscious action and living out this very strong identity, how can you hear that this moment is everything? Or how can you even do the practice of putting your attention back into the I am or presence? And then once you've got to that stage that you're putting your attention back into presence or consciousness, and you understand non-duality and the person's relaxed, then the whole system is more relaxed, and that shift, that grace will happen. So that's not something you do. Like, you aren't responsible for then enlightenment. Enlightenment will happen. But this other stuff is like, you could say like a preparation. But then you've got to begin to question, like, who is it preparation for? Because there is nobody. But it's settling that system down, settling that illusion down. And then once that's settled, then you can begin to question, but who does it settle down? Who gets to enlightenment? Who is it that's going to wake up? But doing that in the very beginning is pointless to somebody that's totally convinced that I'm their mother and trying to suck off the breast. Like, I'm so cheeky sometimes in the things I say. So I would assume that Zen isn't dealing, so back to you, Ian, isn't dealing with the psychology part, and that you need to settle down that and understand why you're drinking. Addiction can be a physiological addiction, but you can stop that. It's totally possible to stop that by understanding what your triggers are and why you're getting triggered and not drinking it anymore. And it's really amazing addiction. Like I'm a big fan of tea. I'm from England and a big fan of caffeine. But this year my hormones are changing because I'm getting older. I'm getting to middle age and I can't drink caffeine anymore. So when a woman's hormones are changing, caffeine is a nightmare for a woman. And it really amazed me. I've never really given it up in my life. I have for short periods, but never really given it up. And what really amazed me about giving it up was that once you actually get over that addiction stage, like it just goes. Like it just goes. Like I wasn't having the craving for it, but you've got to get over that addictive stage. But maybe I'm not using it in seeking ways. I wasn't using it in seeking ways, so it was very easy when I stopped. Once I stopped. But yeah, thank you for your question, Ian. I really don't think I'm going to make it through this session without going for pee-pee. I think I have to go for a toilet. So toilet break. So this is for all the ladies in the audience. It's now your opportunity. The ladies will understand that. The men will be like, why? Why is it for the ladies? Hello, I'm back. I am back. Hi Carmela, it's so beautiful how the deeper we dissolve into non-duality, the deeper our loving relationships become. Felix and I have been married for 20 years and diving into non-duality for 10 years now, and it has only made our love and appreciation for each other and our loved ones deeper, more intimate and more harmonious. And yes, our love life too. Oh, that's beautiful, Carmela. Hi Derek. Hi again, Lisa. I used to think that when you fall in love with another, when you look deeply into them, they're allowing you to see who you really are. I now think they also allow you to see who you are not. But what about the other side, when the relationship has faltered for whatever reason, and the conscious uncoupling takes place? What do you return to? Has there been, in reflection, growth? I don't know if there's been reflection or growth for you, Derek. Like that's part of life. So at some point, relationships do break down and do stop working for whatever reason, whether you meet someone else or you just grow apart, and that's totally valid and that's totally okay. And sometimes it can get difficult and it can get dirty because you've shared your whole life together. So there can be difficult and dirty and lawyers and custody and all these different things. If you were both deeply immersed in non-duality, then like deeply immersed energetically, not just intellectually, then I assume that wouldn't happen. But there's going to be difficult energies that come up on the human level, and it's just having space for that for both parties, and then seeing that who they truly are on the deepest level is love. So loving them beyond the human dynamics. But it's going to be painful. There's going to be difficulties and projections, no matter how enlightened you are, because when you disagree with something, so maybe one person wants to break up and the other person doesn't, or there's a lot of money involved, there's going to be uncomfortable conversations. And there will be projections from past. No matter what, it's what happens in humanity. But then it's seeing when all of that's happening. So when you're fighting or you're in conflict or there's difficulty, it's seeing that who they truly are is beyond that. And that's on the human level. That's like if you had two trees that lived too closely together and they became too entwined, and you had to separate them, otherwise they were going to die or something. When you separate them, there's going to be difficulties and like loss of branches and loss of roots and maybe illness in both trees. But eventually when you replant them again, they will both thrive. And so there can be difficulties in that, and it's just being present to it, like being present to the other person's difficulties that come up. And it's not like, oh, you're not enlightened enough if you feel this. So say if the other person is having insecurity or vulnerability about it, it's not shaming them or pushing them down, it's holding that space for them. But then sometimes if someone's behaving really badly in a breakup, then you have to cut them off and you have to tell them no. But seeing beyond that who they truly are is this love, is this presence. They're acting out their karma, they're acting out their particular circumstances, and they couldn't be any other way. In the absolute realm of things, it's perfect. It's turning such beautiful colours here. It's been raining today. It's now very orangey. If I turn around the camera, I don't think you can see or perceive that it's an orangey colour. It's beautiful. Hi Krishna. Hi Lisa. If the positive vibrations reach to the partner, do negative reach too? Just today my husband told me that he's having health issues for the past 15 years because I've thought very negative towards it. Watching you live, would appreciate if you can answer. You thought he's been having health issues for 15 years because you thought very negative about him, you mean? I'd assume that's a human dynamic you're both caught in. And like if you have been thinking very negative about him and then he's saying that to you, I assume that you're stuck in old karmas from both of you. You need to look at the details of that. Because, I mean, it can't be that you've made him ill because he's also attracted you. So it's like he at any point could have moved away. So it's the same for me when I was talking about, like over the last 10 years from being a speaker, I didn't have good enough boundaries when I first started being a speaker. And I felt invaded. I felt I let myself get invaded to an extent. And it's something I really had to work on the last 10 years, but that was to do with me. So I can't then blame that the followers or these people have made me ill because there was something in my vibration that was allowing them to do that and needed to work on it. So it's the same with you and him. You can't separate out one with the other. Like if you've been thinking and thinking very negatively about him and thinking very negatively about him, he's been calling that into his life as well. You can't separate out anything of this life. It's one, a world of one. So it's nobody's fault on the ultimate level. It's a happening. So I would suggest that you both work with someone online. I don't know in India if they have like couples relationship advice, but work with somebody to try and understand these dynamics and let them go and see that who your partner is the same as who's looking from your eyes. You're both this presence that's beyond form. I'm not saying that anybody can have perfect relationships. There's always going to be conflict in relationships. That's what happens when two instruments meet. There's never going to be this like running through poppy fields like for the rest of your life. That's not how life works. So what the freedom is the internal knowing of who you are, which you could also say is external. And then when the conflicts come, there is a different way of dealing with it because there's a knowing of your depth. Thanks, Krishna. Hi, Chester. Thank you so much, Lisa. There are no words, just thank you. Oh, thank you, Cheshna. That's beautiful. Hi, Sue. Hi, Lisa. I've been following you for a few years now. I am feeling the courage to call you as my heart chakra is heavy. May I call? Yes, sure. Let me just plug this in. So cool. When you're ready, Sue, I'll just move on to another question while you get yourself ready or build up the courage, but just cool. Hello, Sue.
Hi.
1 second, I just have to put loop back in. Hey.
It's the first time I've done this.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, it's so nice to speak to you.
Yeah, really nice to speak to you too.
Oh, I think you're awesome.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I really do. Because every time you speak, I mean, even before coming on now when I had a heavy heart, everything you were saying, you've got this, and the energy was changing and changing.
Oh, nice.
It was beautiful.
Oh, nice.
I just wanted to sit with you, and because I've listened to you with my headphones on, I've slept. But today I've had, oh gosh, here it's heavy. But as you're talking about relationships, then
Yeah.
it was clearing and going, and it was coming back, because I know we're all one. I know all this and I know all that.
Yeah.
But it was there. Go on.
And do you have a sense? What the heartache was about? Like energetically, what stories were?
Well, it's for me now. It's because I'm in my late 50s. I'm on the path of my own now, which I was, bought out of my relationship, and I've had to go into rented accommodation, whereas my house was paid for. So I've got to start all over again, and
Yeah.
I think there's an element of fear, and it's been an ongoing journey for about 15, 17 years,
Yeah.
where I've had a controlling man, and I was glad to get out of it. And I can do it because I non-duality, all this is my passion. I do like star magic healing,
Yeah.
and I'm aware of the height, what we hear, we're holographic beings. You can give it all labels, but I'm trying to share
Yeah.
my understanding with patterns of light. But I've just got this thing, I think, in my chest, and I've had it up and down for years. And I'm thinking, what is it that I am not seeing?
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of searching and looking in, and it's just come up again. And I'm just like, oh, panic, panic, panic. And I know that it's not true,
Yeah.
but it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes sometimes lifetimes to dissolve that energy, because it's not just your energy. It was also from your parents and your grandparents and your great grandparents. Like it's many generations of humanity, and you're kind of at the brink. Like, so there's been this river of humanity, and then suddenly you've got these beings that get into spirituality and they stand up against the current, and then you've got the current of the river like going past and trying to push you back in again, but you stay standing, and it's just giving it space and giving it time, and seeing like what unconscious thoughts are in there. So you have a sense of it, and then today, like what it was saying, like I'll be alone, I'll be abandoned. Like normally the heart
That's
is
right.
like the energy in the heart is in the negative, is that your biggest fear is being totally kicked out of humanity and being abandoned to die alone.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest, like one of the biggest fears of the heart. Like, and then in the positive, it's feeling part of a group and feeling loved and feeling like you love as well. And in the negative, like its most extreme one is that you'll be abandoned. So you can understand like why that fits in with the husband, like, and the ex-husband. And most probably the reason why you picked him in the beginning was because a controlling man, even though it's very difficult to live with, in one way it's safe because there's a safety to it as well, even though it's full of difficulties, because they're controlling you. So they're examining and holding on to all aspects of your life. So it's like a fake protection. So you can see that in the beginning, your body was most probably attracted to that form of protection or that form of safety, even though it really isn't safety. And now when you've pulled away from it, like the energies, it takes time to come out of your body. It's most probably was there in your mum as well, and your dad.
Yeah, in my mama, yeah, definite. Because I feel that. I look back, I look at their ways, and there was a lot of it
Yeah,
there. My mum was always scared. My mum was scared to go on holiday. Oh, you'll crash on a plane. Do you know, there was a lot of fear there.
yeah,
Whereas I've always been, as young, nothing worried me, nothing bothered me. It's like as I've got older now and I've come to this, and all that I used to see in them,
yeah,
it's there, here.
yeah,
And it just sits there, and I'm thinking, oh gosh.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
love listening to you. You're like music to my soul.
Oh, nice, nice. And it will pass, like this energy will pass. It's just
Yeah,
giving it, like giving it this time, however long that time is. Like in a way, time is an instant and eternity. It's not
yeah.
something we can.
Thoughts come up. Oh, you're not going to survive. You're not going to earn enough money. You're not going to survive. You're going to
Yeah,
And I'm like, that's a load of rubbish, because we can,
yeah,
we're co-creators. We
yeah,
create
yeah,
everything.
yeah. You will. It's just, here's a big, and you've got to remember, like for women particularly, that we've been looked after by men for thousands and thousands of generations. We don't even know
Yeah,
how far back that goes. So when we step away from men, like it does create that energy coming up of feeling like we can't survive without them, and we can. It's also really beautiful co-surviving with another person, whether it be a man or a woman. That's got beautiful energy in it. And I think there is a desire in the feminine to relax into the masculine. So I think there is that desire there. But you also can survive by yourself. Like you can totally survive. It's your energy.
I know. The thing is, from the deep of my soul, I know
Yeah,
that I can survive. But this voice, this entity,
yeah,
energy,
yeah,
whatever, creeps in,
yeah,
and it's it's here. It's just across here,
yeah,
and I talk to it.
yeah,
Like, you'll be okay. You'll
yeah,
be fine. You'll
yeah,
be okay. But then it creeps up, and sometimes sometimes it's like a tsunami.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I've got twin boys that, I brought them up. I didn't have a relationship after him, not because I was frightened of men, because I'm not. I can chat to people, I can flirt, I can do the best. It was a choice I made,
yeah,
because I wanted to give all my energies to my twins, which have worked now because they're in university. They're doing their own thing, and my daughter. So I've done all that now. So it's me now having to look inside of me,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Mm.
Do you think that's beautiful? Well, now it really is your time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. In part, sometimes it's like when the boys come back and then they leave, and I got a bit of a lip, and they're leaving
Yeah,
me, and I've got to readjust, because I am one of these mothers, that I don't want them to attach to me. I detach. I want them to be independent,
yeah,
because they've got to survive in the world. So
yeah.
I don't hold my boys or anything.
That's so beautiful.
Mm,
That's a lot of parents don't do that, and that's one of the most, like I always feel like life is always circular in everything that it gives us. So
yeah,
it's like you get your children, and there's a period that you go through where they're so dependent on you, and in a
yeah,
way, like it's not that you're dependent on them, but it's like that you're totally bonded. Like they're like your survival is totally interlinked, and in a way
so,
like they've come from you. So there is this feeling that it gives where everyone's saying they're your children, so it feels like your children. And then bit by
mm,
bit, as they grow, they begin to become more independent from you. And then you go through this process of giving them back to life, like that they go out and
yeah,
survive. And it's like everything, it's like this life as well, that you come into this life and at first you think it's your life and you've got to do it. And then as you get older and your body isn't as strong anymore, you slowly have to give your whole entire life back. Like everything has that circular motion, because nothing actually ever belonged to us. And I really think that's a successful parent, is somebody that can go through that process and really let their children go.
Oh, I've done it a lot,
Yeah,
It's that saying that you hear, what they say, you have to die to live.
yeah,
So and that's what I've done with the boys. I've detached from a lot of things,
yeah,
detaching from this, detaching from that. But yet I love them unconditionally,
yeah,
and that's the word I don't want to say, but
yeah,
it's indescribable. Like I do, it's like when they were young growing up and they used to say, oh, I passed this. And I used to say to them, well, how does that make you feel? Are you proud of me? I said, are you proud of you? I'll always be proud of you. So I've
yeah,
always turned it. I've always been like that,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. That's lovely.
I don't see you. How do I just see myself?
Yeah, you just get to see yourself. I'm sorry.
Oh,
My computer
it's very
can't cope.
challenging to look at myself.
Yeah, you can't.
But,
Yeah, you can't see me because the live stream's out of time, and my
that's
computer
fine.
can't cope to stream 2 videos, or my
That's okay, as long as I
internet
know.
can't cope. Yeah.
As long as I know I've done something right and just looking at my teeth now. I hope you can see me. Can you see me?
I can only see a very small version of you because
And I can see a small version of you in the corner.
yeah. So I can't see the detail of your teeth.
Oh, that's
I
okay.
can see that you've got blue eyes, I think.
Green.
Oh, green eyes. I can see they're light eyes.
Green. I got green piercing eyes. Everybody mentions my eyes.
Nice.
But
yeah, that stands out, but it's a very small picture.
can I ask you another thing? Is
Yeah.
you talk about dyslexia and
Yeah.
I mean, I would never have been known that I was dyslexia. That wasn't the question. I've gone off onto another thing now. But now, because I work in pharmacy, and as I got older, and there's a lot of changes, like changes in my body. You can call it like a waking up. I'm very much awake to what this world is all about. And I'm in work, and I see the letters are moving. I don't know whether it's because I've always said when we heard the word dyslexia, I mean, it wasn't known in my time. But when I heard, I said if I went to be checked, I'm sure
Yeah.
I'd have it.
Yeah.
And I found now, as I'm getting older, because I say to the boys, I said, I'm forgetting words. I said, I'm sure I'm dyslexic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I work in the pharmacy.
Yeah.
And this week I've had a bad week because my head has been going pounding. I don't know whether it's all that or what have you, but yeah, and I'm looking at things and things are moving.
Yeah. Yeah, that used to be very strong for me. What they used to give to me when I was a kid was they used to put a yellow tint in my glasses, and that actually helped the movement because it's something about black and white, I think, and it changes. Like, so they used to test people and they gave people different colors, and yellow was the color that really helped settle everything down for me. There was something about, for me, because that is part of dyslexia, is that it moves on the page and you can't, like, sometimes I see completely different sentences that are there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I really work hard on it, because
Yeah.
I'm left-handed as well. So when I was younger, I was hit because
Yeah.
I was left-handed. So I've always been focused. I trained myself to do crocheting the right way instead of the left way, which I'm left-handed. So the mind is, I've really worked hard on it. But that makes a lot of sense when you say yellow, because even the lights now, because they're using these brighter lights.
Yeah. Oh, it really hurts my eyes. Yeah.
Oh, it hurts. I said to my son, I said, I can't be doing this. So I did buy one of those driving glasses, and they're yellow.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I might go and have yellow put in my glasses.
And it really helps, like with the computer screen. I don't know what you do in the pharmacy, but like if you've got a computer screen that's very like that's very white with black print, it really helps. But people tend to have different colors. I don't know if they do the tests they might do the test at the eye clinic, so if you say to them I'm dyslexic, but they might not do it. I can't remember where I got tested for that. I used to go for lots of testing. But yeah, all sorts of things like that. And the memory, I also think, goes with the sense of self as well. So dyslexic people do have a trouble. So apparently an area in our brain which is connected to words is difficult for us. So if I don't keep repeating words, I forget them. I can kind of remember them, but I can't say them always. So that, like when somebody says it again, I can kind of remember it. But it's like if I don't keep repeating it, I kind of forget it out of my vocabulary and I forget how to say it. So sometimes when I'm trying to say a word, I can't remember how to say the word, so it comes out really weird. So that's, but everybody's slightly different with what affects them. But with the sense of self, there's not been much research into this, but there's other teachers that I've met, and apparently with the collapse of the sense of self or challenging the sense of self is very connected to the memory. So the story that you tell of yourself every day. So you're always getting up and you're telling yourself who you are and what you've done. And as that begins to be challenged, your memory isn't working so hard. So it takes a lot of energy creating a sense of self. And as that begins to dissipate, your memory apparently gets worse. So there's a lot of teachers that I've met. Like there was one teacher that had this awakening for many, many years, and his memory was so bad, he used to constantly have to set alarms for everything. Because he just couldn't remember anything.
That's happening to me.
Yeah.
It is. It's just, I think, how have I got to my age? But I wasn't so bad like this. But it's only since I hit 40 and I had a bit of an awakening.
Yeah.
And, my whole body shook and lots of things happened. And then I went on and did my own research. And like you said, I don't think sometimes. There's no thought in my head sometimes.
Yeah.
Because my daughter says to me, "You're horizontal."
That will really make your memory worse, I think.
But
that's very sweet that she says it. Does she know that it's a compliment?
I know it's a compliment, but she says, "Oh, Mummy, I want to shake you sometimes." And she said, "You weren't like that before when I was younger." And it's as I got older. And I'm like, right, okay. But if I stop and ask whatever I need to know, I'll stop and I'll ask. Even in work, I'll say, "Where's this drug?" or "Where's that drug?" And my hand will go up and touch it.
Yeah, the body really knows. Like, it's really amazing. Like, when you begin to drop and really trust the body.
Yeah. And I'm going, what's this? And then all of a sudden, and I'm thinking, well, where did that come from?
Yeah.
So that we everything is within, really. Yeah. Everything is within. It's just trusting it.
Yeah, it really is. And as a dyslexic, I don't know if this is the case for all dyslexics, but for a percentage, is what we do, the way we learn, is we learn things into the unconscious. Because our memory isn't functioning as well, when we're learning things, we're learning in a different way. So we learn it into our unconscious rather than learning it in the memory and in the thinking mind. So we do, and we adapt to that quicker. So our body really knows. It is like a different way of being, and it's hard to explain to people. So your body can know. It's a bit like the driving car is a lot simpler, but it's a bit like that to an extent. But with medicine and when they're changing cupboards, it's I'm sure it's a lot more like intense and not like driving a car, which is the same the whole time. But your body does know, and it's really relaxing into that and trusting that the body is doing most of the work. We think, this small percentage of us of the conscious mind thinks it's doing the work and thinks it knows what's happening. But it's just a story that's going on. Our body really knows, and really trusting that. And then you can just really disappear. So if your body's doing it, you can just really disappear into what's happening. It's just like getting... responding.
I so get you, and that's why I've been listening to you. But yet I never had the courage to speak here. This is the first time I've done this. And that was another courageous thing to get over. And it's like there's a shift. I've had a lot of shifts lately. Go and do this, go and do that, and just shifts. Do you know, it's amazing. Really amazing. But you're saying about the body is so true, because I feel when I'm listening to somebody, if I feel it going into my body, and if it goes into my body, I know it's there forever.
Yeah,
But if it goes in, if I try to listen with my head,
yeah,
I don't understand people.
yeah,
It's really weird. I can only take a percentage in my head,
yeah,
my logical thinking.
yeah,
Most of it goes into my heart.
yeah, yeah. That's really beautiful.
Because I was driving home one day and the same roundabout to turn off to my street to come up, and I must have gone into a different space. And all of a sudden the car's going and I'm thinking, where am I? And I didn't panic because I just knew, well, I can't be far. Where am I? Going up the dual carriageway? Going, and then I come into my body and I went, oh, right, okay, I'm up here. So I mentioned this to my daughter and she said, Mum, I do it all the time. I'm thinking, oh, gosh. So it's so funny, the body's so funny.
Yeah.
And you're awesome, I got to say.
Oh, so are you. You're really sweet.
I just wanted to sit with you and you to feel my body
Yeah,
and sort of feel my energy, and
yeah,
as are yours.
yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. It was so lovely to meet you. Thank you for calling in.
And you, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So much love to you.
Yeah, send you lots of love. Bye.
Thank you very much.
What a beautiful call. So I think I go now. That was a lovely call to end with. And I see you again on Wednesday at 6 p.m. French time. Remember to give a thumbs up to the video if you like the video and if you want it to be shared and seen by other people. Yeah. And thank you for all your questions and for being vulnerable. I send you lots of love. Bye.